Hi and welcome to Glaswerks. Today we are looking at the new Glaswerks Reverb A Loop. The Reverb A Loop provides both a buffered send and return loop for your guitar amplifier that allows interfacing to your favorite effects processors, as well as offering its own internal DSP processor for adding reverb or delay. The unit is housed in a one-space rack unit or can be used on top of your amp with the included rubber feet. Now let's take a look at the features of the Reverb A Loop. The unit provides a buffered effects loop for use with external effects processors and its own internal DSP processor. The internal processor has 8 program settings. The first 6 are various styles of reverb, including 2 digital reverbs, 2 plate style reverbs, 1 emulation, and finally a reverse reverb. All reverb settings except for the spring emulation offer control over decay time, as well as providing low frequency and high frequency roll-off controls. The last 2 modes of operation for the unit are the delay programs. The first offers control over delay time and repeats, and the second adds an additional parameter for modulation control. Now we'll take a look at the signal flow within the Reverb A Loop. The signal from your guitar amp is fed into the input jack on the back of the unit. From there, the signal is buffered within a tube stage that provides a low impedance drive for the external effects processor. And this signal finally appears at the effects send jack at the rear of the unit. This signal is also applied to the effects return jack to allow the signal to pass back to the recovery stage when no external processor is being used. This connection is automatically broken when you plug into the effect return jack on the rear of the Reverb A Loop. The signal from the effects return is split into 2 different directions. One of these 2 signals is fed to the effects recovery amp, and the second is fed to the internal DSP processor. The internal DSP processor has its own recovery amplifier, and finally the 2 signals are mixed back together and sent to the return jack to your amplifier. Now let's take a look at the front panel controls of the unit itself. The first 3 controls are the send, return, and effects level. The send control sets the level of the signal sent to the external effects processor. The return control sets the overall level of the signal that is sent back to your guitar amplifier. And the effects control sets the level of the signal from the internal DSP processor. Setting this control fully counterclockwise disables the internal DSP processor. Now let's look at the final 4 controls on the front panel. The final 4 controls set the various parameters of the internal DSP processor. The mode switch selects one of the 8 internal DSP programs. The P1 control sets the decay time for reverb modes and the delay time for the 2 different delay modes. P2 and P3 control the high frequency and low frequency roll-off in the reverb modes, and they set the number of repeats and the modulation in the delay modes. Now let's take a listen to a few clips from the unit itself. Hi, back with you again. I'm going to take a quick look at the Glaswerks Reverb A Loop here, just a couple sound clips. Unit sitting on top of an Overdrive Deluxe. This is a Santa Cruz tuned amp with 4 6v6s in it. So it puts that about 44, 45 watts. And first thing, just to give you an idea how the amp sounds clean with no effects. So we'll start there. Okay, so that's without any effects. So now I'll pull up the reverb, and it's in reverb mode 1 right now. I'll pull it up to about 4, so it's got quite a bit of effect on it. So that's mode 1. Mode 2 is similar, but a little bit different voiced. I'll pull up the decay time so it's a little bit longer on this one. Okay, next mode is mode 3, which is the first of the 2 plate settings the unit has built into it. And we'll just leave the controls where they're at and see how it sounds. A little bit subtle, but it's got a nice tail on it. And if I pull the effects level up on the unit, so I'm just grabbing the effects knob just to bring back in some more of the DSP processor. We'll go. So, gives you an idea. Mode 4, the next plate setting, similar. Slightly different voice, just a little bit different voice on the plate setting itself. Once again, you can bring up the decay time if you want to go crazy. Okay, we go to mode 5, and mode 5 is the reverse effect for the reverb. So you can control the time delay. Bring up the effects level. Okay, and that's the reverse. Okay, we go to mode 6. This is the internal spring emulation. Yeah, it's okay. It's not my favorite of the bunch, but it's nice. Kind of gives you almost that bathroom mic effect. Okay, next item up is the digital delay, and turn P3 off because it doesn't do anything in this mode. And so P1, set your decay time, or delay time, excuse me, and okay, so that's with no or almost no repeats. We'll bring up the repeats to about 2.5, 3 on the dial. Some more. A little bit more. So you've got a lot to play with there as far as repeats and stuff. Normally I would keep it in this range. Be a little less effects level on it though. Okay, next is the modulated delay. For myself personally, I like to get kind of a chorusing sound out of this, and we'll see what happens here. Pull back P2 a little bit. You can adjust the mix by just rolling back the effects level. Idea with the different modes, just so you can hear what it sounds like with reverb and little overdrive. Let's go for plate setting 3. We'll set this guy there, about there, about there. You can see this is highly scientific. I'm going to reach back here, flip on the overdrive on the amp. A Loop, little overdrive deluxe 44. Check out the website, www.glassworks.com, and see you on another demo sometime. Talk to you later. Bye.